Hello, hello, hello. Hope you're all keeping well. Happy Melodic Mondays to you all. Today we're going to do a beautiful piece of jazz, one of my favourites of all time. All the Things You Are by Jerome Kern. So come and say hello. Make sure you've got the live chat on so that you can join in all the community comments, ask questions, and generally have a load of fun. Don't forget, there's still time to download the sheets. I think one of the links I had wrong until the last minute, but I corrected it. So if you go on the website now, just follow the link to your members area and you'll find the link to All the Things You Are, which is great. You found them in the end, Leslie. Yeah, I put one of the links was wrong basically, but yeah. Down from 36 degrees in Drani. I can barely even comprehend that. That's so hot. But back to 22 degrees. It's similar here. It's kind of reasonable today, which is nice. If I'm looking a bit sunburned, it's because I did a load of gardening at the weekend and it's kind of... I got caught in the sun. I didn't wear a hat like a Wally, so that's why I'm bright red, just in case anyone's wondering. I'm not embarrassed. I did some gardening. Few things to tell you about coming up this week, just before we get going. The first is we've got another fortnightly workshop this Wednesday, which I'm really looking forward to, where we're going to answer the age-old question, which is best? Is it high G or low G in terms of ukulele tuning? We're not really just going to debate which one's best. We'll look at how certain songs dictate which one we use, for instance. We'll go into a lot of details talking about genres and things like that. And we'll also talk about different types of low G strings, so wound low G versus unwound, all that good stuff. So it's going to be a bit of a Q&A. So if you've got any questions, you could either ping them through in advance or just make sure you're on the community chat and you can join in for that one. So it's going to be loads of fun. Aloha, Tim. Sunny Monday morning. Love it. Oh, and thank you for your compliment on me taming the algorithm. I finally worked out how to get YouTube to work. It was a lot of work, but I redid every single title, description and thumbnail on all my YouTube videos, and it's started to flow, which is really lovely. It's gone up to 25,000, so I must have hit the algorithm right. Thanks, Tim. Thank you. Couple of other bits and bobs, just to let you know that it's only 39 days now until I play Shrinkfest. There's still a few tickets left if you haven't got them. Really cool festival with camping up near Shrewsbury and some brilliant players going and playing this year. So do check it out if you can. Hi Linda! Oh, I bet it's nice down in Weymouth at the moment. Lovely. We've got Linda on holiday in Weymouth and the other Linda on holiday in Wales. That's pretty good going, isn't it? And of course, we've got our countdown, only 235 days now until this very special ukulele cruise. If you'd like to come and join me in the Caribbean, just check out the website under events and all the links and description are there. It's going to be a whole heap of fun. And then next Monday we'll be back to Canacapilla again, which is really great. Fun, my live jam where I teach you to play by ear. Okay, so let's have a look at what we're going to do today. So we're going to look at a beautiful piece, as I say, by Jerome Kern, All the Things You Are. If you're interested in the music theory, and I will touch on it if you're interested, I've done a whole live lesson and there's a lesson on this in my jazz and blues course. Couldn't think of the word then. So check that out. It goes into a lot of detail about the theory. It's a really unusual song in that Jerome Kern has about 6 different key changes in it. And every time we get a key change, it basically goes up or down a third. But it's really fascinating. And just to prove how complex it gets, and is the reason why I'm not going to go into that theory too much today, let's see if I can bring up the sheets where I was making notes on it earlier or last time. It would end up looking something like, oh, have I not got them here? Let me see. Might be this one. Ah, here we go. Have a look at this, guys. This looks like something a crazy scientist would come up with. This is my iPad with all the key changing and everything. So all the red ones are one key, blue ones another key, yellow another key, green another key. It shows how mad it is. But in terms of the melody, it's really nice and simple and really, really beautiful. So that's what I'll do. I'll teach you the melody first. Then we'll look at turning it into a chord melody, and then we'll talk, if we've got time at the end. Hi David, by the way. If we've got time at the end, we'll talk about how to turn it into a really full arrangement. But I thought what it might be nice to do is just have a little play through, just so you can hear how it sounds, just to get us going. That's if I can get my iPad to tame. Go away, you. Full screen. Sorry guys, my iPad's playing up. It keeps doing that thing where it just automatically goes into a split screen, which isn't very good when you don't want it. Okay, there it is. Right, got there in the end. So let me just have a little play through so you can get an idea of how it goes. If I come in close, Cam. Yeah, that might be better. Okay. Hi Karen, hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. So. Sorry, that's the right one. The promised kiss of springtime that makes a lonely winter seem long. You are the breathless hush of evening that trembles on the brink of a lovely song. You are the angel glow that lights a star, the dearest things I know are what you are. My happy arms will hold you, and someday I'll know that moment divine when all the that, eh, guys? Just hands. There you go. And just to prove that teachers go wrong sometimes, I hid a couple of errors in there, which I did entirely on purpose just to make sure you were paying attention. Obvs. Hi, Peter. Hi, Karen. Oh, thanks, Linda. That's very, very kind of you to say. Very kind of you to say. So it's an absolutely beautiful tune. The reason I did the lyrics, even though we're only really learning melody and chords here, is I just find this one really touching. And the lyrics are just so gorgeous. You are the promised kiss of springtime that makes the lonely winter seem long. You are the breathless hush of evening that trembles on the brink of a lovely song. You are the angel glow that lights a star. The dearest things I know are what you are. Someday my happy arms will hold you, and someday I'll know that moment divine when all the things you are mine. I mean, come on, those lyrics are just terrific, aren't they? So absolutely, absolutely brilliant. Linda, yeah, you should be seeing everything. I'm just gonna, just in case Linda doesn't see this, I'm gonna put in the comments just for her. All good. Won't be a second. Try refreshing your browser. Sorry, guys. Linda. Okay, just so she's got that. Okay, right. So let's take a look at what's going on with this one. As I say, some beautiful, it's often called tertian movement, where the key changes go up or down in thirds, which is really, really beautiful. Let's have a look. There we go. Yeah, cool. Let's have a look at what's happening with the melody first. So this is relatively simple. And even if you can't read sheet music, if you follow the tablature on this one, you'll find it easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's not too bad at all. So let's have a look at it. Now, it's really interesting when we talk about keys in this one, because we start in the key of B flat, and you'll notice right at the start we've got those two flats next to the treble clef, which is suggesting we're in the key of B flat. But after the first four measures, then we change to the key of D. So you can't really think in terms of key signatures with this one too much. Just think of it as a beautiful lilting melody which passes through lots of modal changes, lots of key changes, which is lovely. Let's have a look just physically at how to play it. As I say, it's relatively simple. Now for this, I would suggest you can use Pima style finger style, where you pick thumb with your G string, index, middle and ring. But I'm going to use just my thumb, and you'd notice that when I did the original chord melody, that most of the work here is just done with thumb rolls. And the reason I really kind of like it that way is that when you strum with your thumb and you stop at a certain note, you hear it come through really nice and clearly, which is lovely. The other thing, because your thumb can't bend back, unlike your fingers, which have a little bit more give in them, you get a darker, more mellow tone, which I think just suits this piece down to the ground, which is really, really lovely. Hi Leslie. Yeah, when we try and get into the actual melody itself, in fact I could probably do it now. I'll try and make it, see if I can make it a little bit bigger so you can see what's going on. All right, so where we start this, we're going to start it with a B flat note, which makes sense because, as I say, the start is in the key of B flat. So we're just going to hit that first fret and just pick the A string just with your thumb like so. Then we're going to go up quite a big interval here. We're going to go up right here to this E flat note up at the 6th fret. We pull back to the B flat, and then 4 crotchets. That just means 4 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, all on the open A string. And then you hit one more, and then we've got that D up here, and that's where the key is about to change. So if you put that all together, we have first finger, try and get it as close to that metal fret as possible. And that's for, that one we're doing for 2 beats. No, we're not. We're doing it for 4 beats. Sorry, daft moment. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 beats on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Okay, let's try that all together after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up to 6. 2, 3. Yeah, really nice. Now I think we've got a chance with this one to add a little bit of vibrato on some of the longer notes. Obviously when we do full chord melody this will be tricky, although you can do a little bit of vibrato with chords as well. But let's try it on the notes that are held for a bit longer. So the first note would be a good example, and perhaps that last note that we played as well. Now, my tips for vibrato, really the most important thing I think is actually consider taking the thumb off the back of the uke. I know that some people find that really tricky. But especially if you're holding it using a strap, you should be okay. I rarely use a strap, but I can hold the ukulele firm by letting it drop to my lap. And then notice that if I come back to normal camera, that I kind of use this hand just to kind of wedge it in place a little, just so it's not going to move around too much. That allows me to take the thumb off the back and allows me to do a little wobble. Now the other thing to notice with vibrato, that the movement is coming from my elbow. A lot of people think it's the wrist, but that's kind of awkward to do and can actually hurt a little bit. But if you make the movement from the elbow, imagine that first finger's grown roots into the fretboard, and just give it a little wobble. And then I think we could do the same thing up here on this 6th fret of the A string. Okay, again, thumbs off the back, little wobble with that little finger, lengthens the note. And then we'll do it on the final note of this phrase then. So after we do this, up at the 5th fret. All right, let's give it a go. Let's give it a go from the top. So here we go. 2, 3, 4. And up to 6. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, gorgeous. Then we just hit an open A. And then 4 G notes. And we're going to play all of these on the 3rd fret of the E string. Notice that when I hit that 4th fret of the A string for that, what is it, D flat note, I can then pull back here with these 2 fingers. All right, so I'm kind of playing out of position. Any note that falls on the 1st fret, I'm using this finger, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret. And obviously when it goes up to the 5th or the 6th, I'm just going to use my little finger just to reach up. All right, let's see if we can put the whole of that first line apart from the first 2 notes together. Let me see, where can I put, I'll have to make this slightly smaller, I think, just so you can see what I'm doing with my hands. Yeah, that should work. Okay, here we go. 2, 3, 4. Up to 6. Back to 1. Open. And 5. Open A. Little finger. And then back to that lovely G flat. Yeah, really, really nice. That's lovely. Okay. Karen's just saying, when doing a bar chord, let the weight of your arm do the work rather than pressing up. Yeah, it's a similar thing, Karen. Yeah, I often use that analogy as well for bar chords. So if you imagine that your ukulele, let me just lose this for a minute. if you imagine your ukulele is like on a fulcrum basically, and this arm is holding the ukulele in place. When you do a bar chord, if you imagine you're pulling back and this arm is stopping your ukulele from doing this, it means that you can do a whole bar chord without even using your thumb, which is really, really powerful. And the same thing with vibrato. You don't need the thumb because the ukulele can be held in place with this arm. And it works even on smaller ukuleles. It's interesting that Karen mentions Sam York, because I know Sam plays soprano a lot of the time, doesn't she? And she still holds it like a small classical guitar upright like I do. I think it's a nice way to do it. So yeah, absolutely. The other thing, Leslie was just asking for some vibrato tips, is really think about coming from the elbow. That's really, really important. So the movement isn't coming from the wrist, it's coming right down from the elbow, and we're moving the whole arm, okay? And the other thing is, imagine that this finger on the fretboard, I'm just doing a C note here. This applies to any of them, but just say I'm doing a C note. You want to imagine it's kind of grown roots into the fretboard, or someone's glued it in place. It doesn't want to slide backwards and forwards like this, which is what some people try and do. It stays where it is, but the arm wobbles. And you get this lovely long form vibrato. Just have a little muck about with that and see what you can get going. So we've done the whole of the melody for the first section, for the first 8 measures. This whole song's in 8 measure sections, like a lot of jazz tunes. Then we go to another section, which is in the key of F. So we've gone from the key of B flat, believe it or not, to the key of D, to the key of F. We call it tertium movement, because if you think about it, B flat to D is 3, isn't it? B flat, C, D. And then D to F is 3, D, E, F. So we've got this tertium movement all the way through. Again, don't sweat the theory too much, because we can just play it and it sounds beautiful. So the next section, we're going to hit the first fret of the E string for F. Then we're going to drop down to the first fret of the A string for this lovely B flat note. Back to this note here. Open E now. Yeah. And then another open E. And then 4 D notes, second fret of the C string. And then we've got this quick little flurry of notes. We hit 1 more D, second fret of the C string. And then we hit an E and an F, 0, 1 on the E string, just quickly. Come off it to another E, D note, and then we drop down. We don't play that often, do we? This C sharp note. Really, really unusual. Again, suggesting a key change coming up, which is really, really lovely. Now notice one thing, I talked about those tertium movements with the chords, but the same thing happens with the melody. If I play the first bit for you. Okay, now if I play the next section starting down here, notice it's basically the same melodic movement, but we're in a different key. Notice rhythm's exactly the same as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, rest. Then it just changes here. Isn't that lovely? Should we try putting those first 2 sections together? So we'll go basically from the start up to measure 15. Let's give it a try, folks. Here we go. Start with this B flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Lovely. G notes. Little finger here. And then pull back. Lovely. Then we can drop back to this F note. First fret of the A string, back to F, open E, A, and then all those twos, D notes, 1, 2 and 3, 4, 1. Yeah, really nice. Isn't that gorgeous? Let me know how you got on with that. As I've mentioned with a few of my lessons, if you find yourself not sure of the counting, although this one's relatively straightforward, so it's not too bad. If you know the piece, you can kind of sing the lyrics as you play it in your head. I'll often do that. So, for instance, you are the promised kiss of springtime that makes the lonely winter, whoops, that note, isn't it, seem long. So you can use that to help you with the rhythm as well, rather than just thinking about having to perfectly remember crotchets and quavers and things like that. But as we're doing this every Monday, I'm going to just sprinkle in a little bit of notation as we go, just kind of explaining, because it can be a really powerful thing learning to read music. I only learnt to read music, well, I learnt to read music as a kid on violin, and then I didn't read music again for like 30 years or so until I started teaching ukulele. And then I felt like it was really important for me to learn, partly so I could pass it on to students, but also so that I could arrange and do all sorts of things like that. And it's really powerful because you can see it gives us our timing here, if nothing else, which is really useful because it's not shown in the tablature. But being able to read the sheet music will really, really help. It also means that if a song is written for another instrument like piano, you can probably take the melody part and just transfer it straight onto ukulele, for example, which is really, really powerful. So you don't have to read sheet music, but it's a great tool to kind of have that ability to do so, I reckon. Right, let's keep going with the melody. Oh, Shell's just asking, in measures 6 and 15, what's the reason it's a C sharp and not a D flat? Let's see if we can bring that measure up. So it's measure number 6, which is in the top half. Ah, yeah, great question. So Shell, oh, let me bring in Shell's question on screen. Shell was asking why in measures 6 and 15, we've got a C sharp and not a D flat. Now, this is where things get a bit complex with Kern's writing and in terms of all these key changes. Now, the easiest way to think about it is that the first 4 measures are in the key of B flat. Okay, so the first 4 measures are in the key of B flat. And whenever we're in a key which has a flat in it, such as a B flat, we keep all of the notes that are flattened or sharpened as flats. So you don't get sharps and flats in one key. So in the key of B flat, we have 2 flats, B flat and E flat, and any other note that we turn into a chromatic note, so not one of the ones from the key, we'll call a flat. But when we go to the next section, the last 3 chords here, the key is technically what's happened is that Jerome Kern has changed the key. We're now in the key of D. I know it's mad, isn't it? Just in the space of one line. But because the key of D has sharps and not flats in it, we have D, then E, F sharp, G, A, and so on and so forth. We call it a sharp to stay within that kind of context. So that's kind of a way of also telling where the keys have changed here. You'll see the natural notes down here, which are kind of another hint that we're in a different key. So long story short, Shells, because this one cycles through lots of key changes, because technically we're in a different key, we need to call it a sharp or a flat so it doesn't get confusing. But yeah, that's all it is. There's a really interesting bit down here, which if you're really into your theory, again, check out the full lesson because I find it really fascinating. There's 2 what we call enharmonic notes. That's just notes that are the same note but are given different names because of the key. So if you have a look at the note on measure 23, that's the one underneath where it says F sharp, we've got an A sharp note, okay? And that's because at that point in the song, we're in the key of F sharp. Then, if you look two measures on, we have exactly the same note, but now it's a B flat. Actually, it looks like a natural, but because we're in the key of F, it would naturally be a B flat. Don't sweat the theory too much. But the same note called two different things, and it's just to do with the key changes, basically. So, yeah. Oh, Leslie, definitely, especially when it comes to jazz. There's that brilliant analogy, there's that brilliant meme that I've shared in the past where it's basically a load of rocket scientists looking at blackboards, and the lecturer is going, come on, it's not music theory. So, yeah, it can be tricky, but yeah. But the brilliant thing about this one is even if you don't get the music theory, you can really enjoy it. So, yeah, music theory just gets you to think about it in a different way, I guess. Let's have a look at the next section then in terms of the notation. We're going to go from measure 16, that's the third line down, second measure across, and now we're going to start travelling up the fretboard, okay, as we go higher in pitch. So we've got an open E, an open A, and then the 7th fret here, I tend to use my little finger here, my pinky for this, so. And you can hit it one more time, and then we come back to the 5th fret for the next two notes. Now the timing will sound like this. Okay. Now there's an awkward note there, isn't there, on measure 17 at the start. It's a dotted crotchet, or a dotted quarter note if you like to use kind of a decimalisation in terms of notes. That means it lasts for 1.5 beats. Any note that has a dot next to it, you take the normal note length, like 1 beat, and you times it by 1.5. So that note there in measure 17 is 1.5 beats. That's quite hard to count. The way I like to count 1.5 beats is I'll count 1 and 2, but I won't count the and afterwards. 1 and 2. That's giving me a half beat. And then I'll hit the next two notes. I'll show you what I mean. It's easier to see it, really. So I'll hit, when I hit that 7 note on the third bar over on the 3rd line, I'll hit it 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Do you see what I mean? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So when I put that all together with the phrase, isn't that lovely? And then we go really, again, we've changed key here. Again, it's mad, it's nuts, this song. We've got an F to a F sharp. Then this D note up here, 5, and back to 4. Okay. Let's try putting that together. So I'm going to go from the 2 zeros on measure 16. Okay. Before that F sharp 7. I'll give you a count of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. All right. Actually, I'll just do 1, 2, 3 for 1. It would be a lot quicker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Here we go. And then we pull back. 5, 4. Yeah, really nice. And then again, we're doing a similar thing, but then we're going into a different key again. We have E, A, and then here we've got this C sharp note. Bottom line, a low C, B, and then we pull back to that A sharp. All right, isn't that lovely? That's the B section. Let's go from measure 16 then. Come in after 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. Fantastic. Then we go up again. And down to the low C. Isn't that lovely? Got a beautiful chord there. D7 augmented 5. Gorgeous. We'll come to that later, don't worry. Let's keep going then. The next section is basically a repeat of the A section. All right, so if we do the last 3 measures here, after that double bar line, we have that B flat note, 1, up to 6, back to B flat, 4 A's. And then we'll turn the page. We've got another A to do. Open A one more time. G. And then here's where we have changed. We go right up to the 8th fret up here for this F note. Okay. Back to 6. And then 4. Wow, we've got 2 F notes just as they are. And then we've got 3 notes. Can you see here, if I bring it in really big, we've got 3 notes in the space of 2 beats. Crazy, huh? We call it a triplet. Triplets can be 3 notes in the space of 1 beat or 3 notes in the space of 2 beat, like we've got here. So it's a bit of a tricky one to think of timing. Just think of the first 2 notes as the same as you normally would. And then the next 3, just hit them together. Oh, I noticed, by the way, I don't know how I didn't notice this the first time I did this as a live lesson yonks ago, but that note, if anyone's got a pen and they want to change it, that note at the start of measure 32, the last line, it should be a B flat. I don't know why I put an A natural in there. I must have been having a funny moment. So see that 0 at the start of the bottom line? If you've got a pen, just turn it into 1. I'll correct the sheet soon so that it's corrected anyway. So from this measure here up here, it will sound like this. F, 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 B flat. That's the mistake note. It's my bad. I'll get that fixed. And then a G note. Then we've got this lovely E flat note up here, 3rd fret of the C string. Back to G, B flat. And then a massive intervallic leap right up to the 10th fret. Isn't that lovely? And then an open A and the B flat to finish. Yeah, nice. Okay, let me know if you've got any questions with that so far. I know we've gone through quite a lot quite quickly, but I want to try turning it into a chord melody. We won't always do this on Melodic Mondays. Sometimes it's just about appreciating a melody, but I thought, as I've already scored this one, let's try the chord melody, which would be really nice, and I'll show you how to do it. But should we just play that melody through just on its own from the top? Now bear in mind, it takes me a minute because I've got a pedal that I can change pages with on my iPad, but not so easily with the one I have up on the screen. So just allow me to pause when we get to this final note here as I switch. All right, so just take a breath when we get there. I'll come in on close cam. Here we go, right from the top then, guys. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Measure 9. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Rest. All the D's now. That last measure. And into the 3rd line. 2, 3, 4, 1. Next section. Down to the 5s. Lovely. Rest. 2, 3, 4, 1. Oh, sorry, I just need to move that up. I couldn't quite see it. Yeah, lovely. And then we've got C, C sharp. Okay. And then we change to the next section. Okay, G minor 7, but we're just playing the note B flat down here. Up to 6, back to 1. Here's where I need to flip pages, so just give me a second. Here we go. I'll just bring that down so you can see it. Down to the G, right up to that 8th fret, to the 6th, back to these F notes. And then I hit that A by mistake because it's still there. Lovely, gorgeous, gorgeous. Isn't that lovely? Such a beautiful kind of timeless melody. I think it's absolutely wonderful. If you ever want to listen to a version of this, I mean, there's so many. This is like one of the most covered jazz standards of all time, and you'll find lots and lots of different versions out there. But I always think whenever I'm trying to find a jazz version that's relatively honest to the original but sounds really, really good, I go to Ella Fitzgerald. I don't know why, it's just the way she sings. She doesn't bend too many notes and it just sounds really, really lovely. So if I'm ever learning a jazz standard and I don't know it that well, I'll almost always go back to Ella's records. And I love, she did lots of records one after another called the Great American Songbook records. So she's got Ella sings Gershwin, Ella sings Kern, Ella sings Porter, you know, Cole Porter. There's all these different standards from these great American songwriters that she released these albums of. And there is one of Jerome Kern and it's got some beautiful songs on, including this one. So listen to Ella's version. It's really, really lovely if you want to work on it. Linda, the full version is on my jazz course. So I know that you're a member of the site. If anyone isn't, just head to mattsteadukulele.com, and then when you sign up as a member, it's in the jazz course. I think it's like the 6th or 7th lesson, Linda. So just head to the jazz course and you'll find this, the chord melody version like I do now, but there's also one that talks about all the different key changes and everything in a lot of detail. Just in case any of you are kind of as fascinated by it as I am, I think it's really, really fascinating. And it ends up, as I say, I think this sheet is from my live lesson. Let me see if I can find it again. You end up with something like, where's it gone? It'll look something like this. No, it won't. That's the wrong one. Where's it gone? Oh, I'll tell you what, you don't need to see me flicking about my iPad. Let me find it and then I'll bring it up. It must be that one. Oh, it's not opening. Anyway, it's really fascinating. You end up with all the different changes and everything, which is hopefully quite kind of fascinating. Anyway, let me go back to the main sheet. Give me just a second. I seem to have got this split screen thing again going on. It drives me mad. I don't know if anyone else has got an iPad and you end up getting stuck like this. It's really annoying. There we go. It's gone back to normal. Sorry, technical issue. We're back to it. Okay, right, here we go. Fantastic. Let's see then if we can do this lovely, gorgeous chord melody version. Oh, thanks, Pam. Thank you. So I'll try playing that chord melody version through again so you can see it on close camera, and then I'll teach you how to do it. So it's really quite pretty. So we've got the melody and the notes coming through at the same time. I'll try and get it right this time as well. I love this chord coming up. Isn't that pretty? Did you feel that key change? Another key change as we go up. another one. I got the right chord this time, that's always good. Beautiful chords here. Another key change. Just going to flip the page. Back to the first bit now. The looseness of that bit. And then we finish on a B flat in the original key. It's really pretty, song that. Really lovely to learn. So let's do it. I'll teach you this chord melody and I'll give you some kind of easier options on couple of the sections because there are some tricky ones as well. So let's take it kind of a few measures at the first. I'll bring this on my iPad because you really want to see this up close, I think. Let me see if I can turn my iPad so that, there we go, excuse the noise, there we go. I need to oil my music stand. So let's have a look at the very first section then of page 1. So we start with a G minor 7. Now the melody note at this point is this B note down here. So that means when we strum this first chord, we can do it, this G minor 7, we can do it all the way. All right. So now the same thing happens with this C minor 7. Now normally a C minor 7 would look like this, just barring the whole of the 3rd fret. But the melody note is up here, this unusual E flat note. So that's why we end up with this chord for the C minor 7, which is kind of unusual. Kind of looks like a D sharp chord or an E flat chord. But that's why we've got it, just because the melody note is there. All right, so the first bit, G minor 7 all the way. And then up to that C minor 7. With your fingers stretched out. That will look like this. Okay, G minor 7. Bar the 3rd fret, little finger up here. Okay. Then we pull back. We've got this B flat note, which is just the 1st fret of the A string. Then we go to an F7 chord, and the nice thing about this F7 chord is that the melody note is the open A, the string nearest the floor. So again, for this measure, we can just do a normal F7. We haven't got to do anything down here, just normal F7, which looks like this. And then we just strum all the way to the A string, hit the A string on its own, and we do that twice. Okay, that will look like this. Okay, nice and simple, that one, which is really lovely. And then we finish off with this B flat major 7. That's quite nice because it's kind of like a B flat, which would normally look like this. But we just lift up, so this finger isn't doing a bar, it's just sitting on this F note here, like so. Okay, really pretty, isn't it, that chord? And then we've got to reach up to the 5th fret, okay, for that high D note. So what you do is you strum this one, and then if you can keep it down and reach, that's nice because you still have the chord ringing out. But if you really struggle, you can take your finger away. Just notice it kills the chord a little bit. All right, so let's try that. I'll bring it on and over here just so you can see it. Let's give that a go from the top. Just ping the right page up. I just need to go forward a couple. Okay, here we go. So G minor 7, 2, 3, 4. Up to the 3rd fret, little finger on 6. Back to the 1st fret, F7 chords. E flat major 7. Little finger up at 5. Lovely. Now next bit's really, really nice because we come back down here to this E flat shape. Now an E flat 7 shape, yeah, it's just checking it's an E flat major 7, would normally look like this. But because the melody note is on a G string, it's this note here, this A flat note. It means that we don't need to do anything on the A string. We just bar the 3rd fret, just strum down to the 3rd string down. And then an unusual A7 because the melody note is this G note here. See how I'm just doing a normal A7 chord but adding this finger. And again, because the melody note's on the E string, notice I don't touch the A string. I just strum down the top 3 and then rest my thumb there so I don't play it. Little finger can come down on this 4th fret. And again, if you can keep everything else in place, so have a listen, this sounds so much nicer than this. See how you kind of lose the chord. So keep it down. You back to this 3 here, and then just the top 3 strings of a D chord. You could play it like that, but as your finger's there, you can just reach down. Okay. So let's try that really, really slowly from the top. I'll stay on close camera. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bar the 3rd, little finger at 6. Back down to 1. F shape, F7 shape. Up to 5. Open A. Bar that 3rd fret. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that so much. And as I say in the full lesson on the website, take your time with this. Not everyone's going to get this straight away because there's quite a lot going on. The nice thing about this song is that it's only 24 measures in length, I think. So it's quite a short song. It fits on 1 page of A4, which is quite unusual for jazz songs. You'll notice sometimes I'm on sheets like 4 or 5. So nice and simple, but just take your time with this. It's a really low tempo piece as well, the original, so you don't need to go crazy fast. Now, what I love to do, because this measure, if you have just look at measure 8 on the screen whilst I'm here at the moment, you don't need to see a lot, but just notice there's just a single chord there. If I go back to the melody version, notice that it's blank, there's no melody note there. So that means on measure 8, we just need to fill it with a chord. And the chord that's being played is this D major 7 chord. Now that looks like this. Basically, a D major 7 chord is barring the whole of the 2nd fret. Then we put a finger on the 4th fret of the A string. Now you could use your little finger. I like to use my ring finger. It just sits there quite nice. Now this is where I'm going to talk a little bit just about technique because I think it's really important. Because this chord doesn't contain a melody note and it's just filling up the space, it's really nice to make it sound different from the full chord with the melody note in it. So what I do to kind of make that difference really apparent is I just strum down very lightly with my nails. I like to use 3 nails. I'm only strumming up here, by the way, so you can see my hand. Generally it'd be down here, okay? But notice I'm just strumming very lightly with the nails, and that gives almost like an echo sound. Let me play the first line and a bit going into it, and you'll see what I mean. So really nice thick sounding chords here. Here it comes. See how it's almost like just like a little breath afterwards, and it makes it so much prettier. And it's those little tiny techniques that make such a difference to your playing. They don't have to be super fancy or anything like that. Just a little nail brush, it sounds really sweet. Let's try that. Let's give it a go, that first line into that bit. I'll do it a couple of ways, just in case anyone's following without the sheet music. I'll bring it in big on screen first. You obviously won't be able to see me play, but let's just try it all together from the top. And then I'll do it smaller so you can see what I'm doing. So 2, 3, 4, G minor 7, bar the 3rd and 6, back to 1, F7, B flat major 7, open A, bar that 3rd fret, and then nail brush that next one. Really nice. Now let's try it with the sheet music on so you can see what I'm doing. Let me just bring this in. Okay, let's give it a go one more time all together. 2, 3, 4. Bar the 3rd, little finger on 6. Back to 1. F7. Open A, bar the 3rd fret, A7. I love that note. Back to the 2nd fret, and then nail brush. Yeah, like a little breath. Gorgeous. Now we're going to carry that principle on basically as we go into the next section. Again, we've got the melodies and the chords being played in the same place, but basically now we're in the key of F. Think of that opening section as a 6-2-5-1, a really common chord structure for jazz. 6-2-5-1 in the key of B flat. And then when we come down here, measures 9 onwards, that's a 6-2-5-1 in the key of F. Again, don't sweat the theory. Let's have a look at how to actually play it. So we've got a D minor 7, which normally looks like this, with our little finger down. The melody note here is that F note. And that's the reason we played just the melody first, so you could hear it. Da, 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 da. So that means when we put this D minor 7 shape down, we actually don't need this little finger. We're just going to strum the top 3 strings. Then we're going to pivot down to a G minor 7 all the way. Notice your finger's in the right place for the next note. Then we go to a C7 with our finger up here on the 3rd fret of the G string. Just strum the top 3 strings like this. Really beautiful, right? And then we just put fingers on the top 2 strings of the 5th fret like this for an F major 7. And you make sure these last 2 notes are played individually. So you strum the top 3 down first, pause, and then hit that A string. Okay, that'll sound like this. From the C7 bit, it'll sound like this. Really sweet. Notice that I'm dragging down my whole arm there, so rather than using my thumb like that, I'm actually moving my whole arm down as I hit those chords. It keeps them nice and strong, which is really, really important. The reason we're doing that unusual C7 is that a normal C7 looks like this, right? The melody at that point is an open E here. Now if we strum a C7 down to just this open E, it loses what makes a C7 a C7, because a C7 has that finger there for that B flat note, right? And if this is a C and this is a C7, the only way we can tell between the 2 chords is whether it's this C note here or this B flat. So what I've done is I've changed the B flat. Instead of playing it here, we play it up here, 3rd fret of the G string. It's not a melody note, so this works with low G as well. So that's why we've got that funny shape C7 So we still get the flavour of a C7. And it sounds lovely. And up to that 550. The next bit here is based on this B flat major 7 shape, which is kind of looks a bit like an E minor moved up and over, right? So normally B flat, we bar these 2 strings here, but we can just lift up because we only need the top 2. And in fact, if you look really carefully, we only really need the top 2 strings at all, because the melody note is this D note. So what we do is we hold that shape down, but we only need to strum the top 2 strings. If you trust yourself not to accidentally strum too far, you could even do that with 2 fingers. Okay. And then we're going to go to this shape here, the top 2 of the, sorry, doing that wrong. We're going to move this one back. So we've got 2 fingers on the 2nd fret. Then we got a hammer on. Remember, hammer-ons aren't too tricky as long as you think about a couple of things. So tips for hammer-ons. The first thing is not to grab at it. Temptation is this, really play into it too fast. Notice we've got about that pace. The main thing is, as you come down, try and hit the ukulele string towards the right hand side of the fret. If you hit here, it's going to probably buzz. This one's not too bad because it's got a really low action, but some ukes that will buzz. And then we pick the E string once, and I come down nice and firm, pushing that first finger right into the wood of that E string. Like that. Okay. And then we go to an E7, which normally looks like this, but we're only putting 2 fingers down. Hit the D note here, and then you can just pull this finger back. So you've got those 2 fingers on the 1st fret, like so. So that whole section, if you think about your fingering, watch my fingers, it's not too bad. Hi Harry, hope you're keeping well, mate. Hi Bud. Harry, hope your arm is feeling a lot better. So yeah, I hope you're doing a lot better, mate. So I saw it, so it looked a bit nasty, but hopefully you're healing now, which is great. It's no excuse not to play ukulele though. Actually it is, because you can't if you've only got one arm available. I suppose it's quite difficult otherwise, isn't it? Okay, let's try it. Although, have you guys seen Carl? I think it's Carl Jenkins. Sometimes pops into my lessons. He only has use of one arm, and he's worked out a way of playing ukulele where he does everything just with one arm. It's really inspirational and really cool. So check him out if you haven't already. I think it's Carl Jenkins. I might have got his surname confused. But anyway, this is this section. Watch these fingers from the B flat major 7. This one comes back, which leaves this one free for the hammer on. And then I pivot on this finger here to this half an E7. And then I can pull this one back. Now you don't have to use exactly those fingers, but notice there's not much movement there, which is really nice. It keeps it really nice and simple. Let's try that all together from the B flat major 7. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, we've only got one more section to work out because it repeats the A section after that. Let's take a look. So we're going to go from this bit that takes us up the fretboard. This is measure 16, where it goes to that F sharp 7. So we're actually going to play an F sharp 7 up the fretboard. It's going to kind of look like almost like a bit like a D minor 7. So I'm going to hit the open E, and then we've got this unusual shape where we've got 2 fingers on the 6th fret and then 1 finger on the 5th fret. Looks like a D minor chord, right? Sweet, isn't it? So 2 fingers here, 1 finger, and then you can hit this little finger here on the 7th fret. So you end up with what looks like a D minor shape. Okay. All right, so let's give that a go. Open E, that shape. Yeah, lovely. Now we go up to this unusual B minor 7 up the fretboard. We're going up quite high now. Now, if you can, what we want to do is bar the whole of the 7th fret, and then our ring finger is coming in here on the C string of the 9th fret. Okay. Carl Jackson. I think, was I saying Jenkins? Carl Jackson. Yeah, he's amazing. I think he started playing with the 100 Days project, didn't he? But yeah, he's such a great guy. So yeah, check it out. Carl Jackson and his one-armed ukulele playing. It's really, really cool. So, and it goes to show that even if you've got your struggles in life and with anything, you can still do things if you work out your way and you're determined. So it's really inspirational. Anyway, enough about that. Sorry, guys. Back to this chord. Now, this is quite a tricky one because you've got to bar the whole of the 7th fret and this finger at 9. If you find it really tricky, just drop this one so that it's covering the bottom 2 strings of the 7th fret, and then just strum the bottom 3. It really doesn't sound that much difference, especially on a high G to that chord. It's almost the same, right? So if you really struggle with that one, try this one. Okay. Then we hit the 5th fret temporarily. And then we've got one of some ukulele players' worst nightmare. This B minor 7 chord shape here. Now this chord shape caused me sleepless nights for years and years and years. I couldn't play it. I tried everything. My fingers wouldn't bend back. I find it really, really tricky. So I try and give you as many tips as possible. Then I'll show you a kind of a slight little cheat on it as well. Now, basically what it is, this works for an A minor 7 as well, a little bit lower. The best way to think about it is your 2nd finger is covering the bottom 2 strings physically at the 5th fret. Okay, looks like that. Then we're going to reach over with our ring finger to the 6th fret of the C string up here. Kind of looks a bit like a G minor 7 shape that's been moved up, but notice I'm using my middle 2 fingers. Okay. Now all you've got to do, I say all, it's tricky, but is pop this bar down. Now it doesn't need to put pressure on all 4 strings because these 3 strings are covered, right, by these fingers. So it only needs to touch enough on this G string just so that we get that note ringing out, which is a C note. No, it's not, it's a B note. So you don't have to flatten the whole thing, just like that. The only tricky thing is you do need to be able to bend back like this. If your arm arches at all, it's almost impossible, so you've got to keep a straight wrist. It's a lovely sounding chord, isn't it? Like so. But again, if you really struggle, sometimes it's better to play a 3-string chord that sounds nice than a 4-string chord that sounds chucky, right? So there's not a massive lot of difference. Okay. So let me go through that really slowly from, I'll keep it here so you can see it from the F sharp 7 here. This is the kind of full way of doing it, okay? This D minor 7 shape, and then full bar. Okay, and then notice that when I do it that way, when I come from here down to the 5, I get into that bar shape ready. So then it makes it easier to do the chord afterwards. That's really important. Or if you want to do it in a slightly kind of easier fashion, can play this chord like so. Okay, and then we can slide it back like that. Okay, so either of those are absolutely acceptable. It's just nice to have that full chord basically, which is really nice. Yeah, I know, Leslie, it's an awkward one, isn't it? I've seen people play this chord so many different ways and get into a right higgity-piggledy with it. Some people try and play it with like 4 fingers, or something like that, but it's really kind of awkward. Whereas if you just do this shape, it feels a lot more comfortable. But as I say, I struggled with that for years, and then I was putting on a workshop by Sarah Maisel and Craig Chee, and they sat down with me for a while and showed me how to do it, and I felt so much more comfortable. So yeah, so it is hard, that one. Okay, then let's keep going. We're doing really, really well, guys. Then we've got this E7 at start of next measure. It's like a bit of a relief, an easy chord now. Just hit this 1, 2. That's an F sharp or F G flat. Little finger up to 5. And then we've got an unusual A major 7 chord here. So again, lots of different ways you can do this. You can either use 3 fingers down here on the 4th fret and reach back here like this. Or you can do what I tend to do, which is bar the 4th fret, the bottom 3 strings, and just have 1 finger up there like that. Okay, lots of different ways. If you really struggle with both of those, what you can do, again, just play the bottom 3 strings at 4. That's absolutely fine. It'll still sound really nice, look. You're only missing 1 note. Full wave will sound like... Notice I sometimes double up to give myself some strength on that 4th fret, but really, really cool chord that. And then we're going to play an easier A major 7th back here. Okay, and this one doesn't have a melody note in it. So again, if you can, what I like to do to differentiate it from the chord before it is just a very lightly down strum with my nails again. So if I go from this E7 here, it'll sound like this. See how it's just like a breath again. All right, let's try that just from the E7 chord. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then drag back to 1. Nice, yeah, fantastic. See, a bit of practice, you can get these chords. They're really, really tricky. Yeah, don't worry, Karen. I use that 3-finger option for many, many, many years. I don't know why. I just found it really hard. Not everyone can do it physically. It's one of those few chords where it's really hard to do if you haven't got kind of a little bit of double jointing here, because that finger has to bend back on itself. If you keep it straight, it's kind of really hard to get it to ring clean, so it can feel a bit weird. So basically you've got to put that pad down and allow this knuckle to collapse in on itself. Basically that's the key thing, and then up and over. Whoops, needed to move it up one. There, isn't it? So yeah, so kind of have a think about trying it both ways and see what you feel most comfortable with. All right, nearly there, guys. So let's have a look. We just done measure 19, so we're just on this bottom bit. Okay, next bit's a little bit nicer. So we've got that A minor 7 here, and you can use your nail strum on that. Then an E, A, C sharp. Then we've got another unusual chord here. Now again, a couple of ways to play it. You can use your first finger here, middle 2 here, and then little finger on 4. It's probably the easiest way to play it. If you are playing it that way, for the next bit, just drag your little finger back, and that gives you your next chord. Isn't that lovely? If you want to, you can also do this shape, which is a little bit like the shape we're just doing, but on your middle 2 strings and then your little finger. That's how I tend to play it. But then you have got to squeeze that one in. So I think for most people, that's the most sensible way to play that one. Okay. And then we go to this shape, C sharp 7. That's just like a D7 that's been moved back. Another hammer on the C string. 2nd fret here. And then we've got an F sharp. And that's just an F chord that's been moved up. This finger here is acting as the bar, so we've taken an F. And we're playing it as an F sharp 7. Again, if you struggle with this bar chord, what you can do is just play this G shape on the bottom 3 strings, like 1, 2, 1. You're basically ignoring this one here. Okay, so instead you've either got this or this. Okay, see what feels most comfortable. And then an unusual chord to finish it off. This one's a different shape to the one we played earlier, a D7 augmented 5th. All right, it's a tricky chord, but actually this one's not too bad. Just put your first finger on the 5th fret of the G string and then these 2 down here. Okay, all right. So if I go from that A major 7, I'll play the whole of that bottom line. It will sound like this. This partial chord. Okay, cool. All right, should we try that? Let's try it all together. Again, don't worry if you've got this right now, because this is going to take a lot of practice. We're doing some quite intense stuff tonight, but let's give it a go. So from the start of the bottom line, basically, from the A major 7, so we're going to do that kind of that one there. You can do it like this, or like this, or like this, however you feel most comfortable. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Pull back to 1, 1, 0, 0. Little finger, reach back with these. Little finger comes back. D7 shape, move back. Hammer on. Remember, you can use this one, but I'm going to go. And then 5, 6, 6. Yeah, cool. Now, basically, we're basically there because the start of the next bit is exactly the same as the opening of the song. Let's just try it, okay? Come, do it with me really, really slowly. We got G minor 7 all the way. 3rd fret and little finger on 6. Back to the B flat note here. F7, just normal shape all the way. B flat major 7, just swap them around. Little finger on 5. And then we've got a change here. We're going to play the top 3 strings of the 3rd fret. Then we're going to go up to this shape for A flat 7 add 13. Sounds like a ridiculous chord, but it sounds really gorgeous. Now, again, two versions. If you can, we're going to put this first finger on the 6th fret of the G string, and then we're going to bar the bottom 3 of the 8th fret. Notice I can use this finger to double up, to add pressure, keeping that wrist straight. If you struggle with that, you can also do it with 1 finger there and 3 fingers here. Or, if you struggle with both those, just bar the bottom 3, whoops, wrong one, of the 8th fret. Okay, so all sorts of options there. Back to the 6th fret. And then we go down to a D minor 7th shape, just like before, but this time we're not strumming all the way, we just... a D flat diminished 7th chord. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? 0, 1, 0, 1. We're nearly there. G note. Then we're going to put the top 2 strings of the 3rd fret. drop down, so we're playing it like this. Little finger on 6. And then this F9 shape, it looks really scary, and I did muck it up on the video, so it is easy to muck up, but think about it like a G shape, and we go up and across right up here, playing between the dots, and then little finger comes down on that 10th fret. Okay, another way to think about it is just think about your little finger being on the 10th fret, and then just put a G shape on the top 3 strings. Looks a bit like a diminished chord with your finger moved over. Fingers in the right place on that C string. And then we just bring it back to a normal B flat major 7. Isn't that lovely? All right. You could even play B flat major 7 with your finger lifted up rather than B flat. Just got a real wistful feel to it, which is really pretty, isn't it? And that's it, you've done it. Now, of course, like, I've practiced this through quite a few times and I still made a mistake at the start of the video. So this is quite tricky. So don't panic if you go wrong. And if I'm allowed to go wrong, you're definitely allowed to go wrong. All right, that's the teacher's message. But just take it really slowly, working on it a little bit each day, and then just gradually up the tempo. But let's try it once all together. What we'll do a version where I say it as you play it. So even if we're out of time, doesn't matter too much, because think about the shapes and how much we're learning from this. And we're going to go from the top, and I'm literally going to talk you through it as we play it slowly. Let's give it our best shot. All right. I know this is quite tricky with it at this kind of size, so you might want to use your iPad as Karen was suggesting. What I'll often do, you can see it here actually, if I use this camera, I pretty much use an iPad for all my stuff. Look, I find it a lot more comfortable and easier than sheet music because I haven't got to change pages and it's all on my device, right? And notice that I've put it landscape. It means that you only get 2 lines at a time, but it does make it a lot easier to follow if your eyesight is anything like mine. All right, so just something to think about. Gosh, it must be hot because my camera's really crazy hot. That was yeah, mad. Okay, right, let's try it then from the top. I'll come in and close cam. Right from the top, and I'll talk you through it as we go. 2, 3, 4. Strum a G minor 7. Finger at the 3rd fret, little finger at 6. Back to the 1st fret here. F7. B flat major 7. Little finger on 5. Open A. Bar that 3rd fret. A7 with a G added. Little finger on 4. Bar the 2nd fret now. And now brush this next one. Okay. Just think D minor, top 3. G minor 7, all 4. F note. 3, 0, 0. Up to the 5th fret. Down to this B flat major 7 shape. Move this finger back. Hammer on. Pivot. And pull this one back. And rest. Lovely. Then an open E. D minor shape, now at 5 and 6. Little finger down. Now if you can, the full barred one looks like this. Back to 5. Normally 7. 1, 2, E, F, F sharp I mean. And then this unusual chord, bottom line now. A simpler version. Another unusual chord shape. D7 shape, move back. F sharp, or you can just do this G shape. And then this unusual shape up here. Fantastic. Then we go to the next page, strum all the way, G minus 7, 3rd and 6 again, back to the 1st fret, F7, B flat major 7, little finger down, bar the 3rd fret, and then we're going to go way up here to 6 and 8. Remember, you can just do this if you want. D minor, lovely. 3rd fret, drop it, little finger at 6, and then 10th fret with a G shape behind it, and back to B flat. And then if you want to make it a major 7 at the end, I'll give it a little shake. Yeah! Jazz hands! Isn't that beautiful? Loads going on there, lots to think about. We've covered a lot of information tonight. Hammer-ons, pull-offs, jazz chords, melody playing, all sorts of good stuff. Remember, you can watch these back as many times as you like. You might have noticed that I've been sprucing up my YouTube channel. The reason I did it is just in case anyone's into their YouTube algorithm stuff. I worked out that because the YouTube algorithm works by what the percentage of the amount of time someone watches your video. If someone watches 2 minutes of a 3-minute video, that's thought of as quite good because that's like, what, 66%. But if someone only watches 2 minutes of a 2-hour video and then switches it off, I can't do the maths, but that's a very low percentage viewer rate. So basically I realised that I needed to take my live lessons off there. But worry not, because they're all archived on my website. So if you want to find one of these and you think, oh, it's not on YouTube anymore, it is, it's just not listed. It's still there if you follow the link. So just go to mattsteadukulele.com, click live lessons at the top, live lessons, and then just follow it down, and Melodic Mondays, you'll find it there. There's also a Canacapilla archive. You can find all the old ones, and I've put them in order now, so it's a lot easier to find them. And then there's also one for our fortnightly live lessons. So just in case you want to watch the replay and slow it down and pause it and stuff, it'll always be up there. So just follow the link and have lots of fun with it. Let me know if you've got any questions at all, guys. Thanks, Linda. Thank you. Thanks, Shell. It's a gorgeous one, isn't it? It's a lovely, lovely song to play. It's one of the rare ones as well, where it actually sounds nicer at lower tempo than higher tempo, which is quite sweet. So really take your time with that and let me know how you get on. If you really enjoy it and you're able to do a version, even if it's a work in progress, perhaps post it on our Facebook group. That's, if you look up on Facebook, Learn Ukulele with Matt, or Uke Students Hangout. It's the same page, just it's a long title. Either of those you'll be able to find it with. And there we share all our works in progress. We have a monthly challenge. We ask questions. We do comments, all sorts of stuff on there. So check that out. And we've made it a bit more accessible as well. So we've reordered the questions because sometimes people weren't seeing the last membership question. They're forgetting to agree to the rules, and so easy. If you want to recommend people to that group, it's a lot easier for them to join now, which would be nice. That's on Facebook. Thanks, Leslie. Yeah, tricky old chords, but remember, sometimes those 3-string chords, they sound better than the 4-string, and you've got to kind of make that quality judgment. Is it better to have a slightly clunky sounding 4-string chord or a real clear and crisp 3-string chord? Another thing to think about. What you can always do, which is what I often did, was I'd play the 3-finger chords, but I'd still practice the 4-finger one, so it kind of built up my ability over time. So that's something to do as well. Oh, Karen's just asking about retreat chat, someone's still trying to sell his ticket. Yeah, if anyone's interested in this summer's retreat and you didn't manage to get a ticket, there's a chap called Christian and he's selling his ticket, and I can personally vouch for him. He's a friend, so it is a genuine one. He doesn't have accommodation booked, so you would have to stay off site, but there are lots of local B&Bs, there's lots of hotels, there's all sorts of places you can stay in the forest. I recommend the Bells Hotel in Colford, which is very, very good. So if anyone wants to come along, we've got Peter Luongo, Jeff Peterson, Sam Muir and Lester T. Webb. So an amazing lineup. That's at the end of August, very last weekend of August. And see Christian, he's got a free ticket. There's one other as well, I think, so just keep an eye out for that. And if you see a ticket come up and you're not sure and you think, I just want to check that this is valid, just send me an email and I'll let you know. I'm actually going to be sending physical tickets out for the retreat at the start of next month, so don't worry if you haven't received a physical one. Even if you never received it, we'd let you in anyway, but I'll be sending them out start next month, just so you guys know. Well, don't forget to join me this Wednesday afternoon, where we'll be talking about high G versus low G, the eternal question. Also seeing which tuning is best for certain types of genres and songs, talking about different types of low G, whether it be a wound or an unwound. So lots to learn about there. So check that out. That's going to be this Wednesday. It's this Wednesday at 3:30. All the details on the website. Just click live links and you'll find them there. So those ones are going out by snail mail, Karen, so you will get you'll get a full ticket in the post at some point. If you don't want one and you just want to save a bit of money just in terms of me sending them out, just being nice to me, you can just let me know and I'll just send you an e-ticket. And to be honest, we just check names off a sheet anyway, so the tickets are almost just like a bit of memorabilia. Sometimes people like to have them to keep. Okay, I think that's everything I need to let you know about. Don't forget, only 235 days till the Caribbean cruise, so get your tickets in, come along for that. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And also we've got Shriekfest coming up, where I'll be playing live in 39 days, which is really exciting. I think I might do all the things you are for that. I obviously need to rehearse it a bit, but yeah, I think I might do that. Oh, thanks, Karen. Yeah, I'll have the physical tickets at the actual retreat anyway. So if you wanted one just for a memento, you can grab one off me then. I'll also be doing t-shirts this year. We haven't done t-shirts for the retreat before, but I'm using a company now that print in both America and the UK. So if you're coming over and you want a t-shirt, I'm going to put the designs up next month in advance, and you can have one delivered to your house before you come over. So I'll put all the details of that on the group when I know them for sure. So yeah. There you go, Leslie. Every day's a school day. That's what I always say. Phil Davidson, who taught me how to build ukuleles, he used to say that every day. Every day's a school day. Brilliant. Oh, and by the way, I forgot. I showed this on Facebook earlier. Oh no, I think I showed it to Leslie, but look, this is why I'm sunburned. I redid our garden, so there's a pond in there somewhere. I put in a new acer and all these pretty plants. So if you're wondering why I'm bright red, that's what's going on. That's what I've been doing the last few days. Anyway, I'm gonna send my love and I'm gonna head off, and I will see you hopefully this Wednesday afternoon. If not, we'll see you next Monday for another Canacapella. Another Beatles lesson will be ready by the end of the week as well. So check that out as well. So that will be probably on Thursday or Friday, a chord melody version of Let It Be. Take care, everyone. Much love, and I will see you soon.